Our trophy donor for our champion 4-H Ram Lamb is donated by Western Grain Marketing. If there's somebody here today that representing them would like to give out their trophy, we'd love to have them come up and do so. Our second class will be the white Worcester Yearling ewe. We've got Reed Carson with 2 in the class.
Kid, our ram class here, I really appreciate the length and extension and the overall length of body when we talk about this ram. He's really long-sided, he's long handling. When you get a hold of his loin through his hip, through his stifle, and down through his quarter and twist, really long and elevated through that front end. I like the sleek and smoothness through the shoulder and how he blends into the rest of his body. He's an easy moving ram when he gets out and travels around the ring. Just a really good ram to win the ram show. He certainly could stand some competition. Good job, young man.
So Owen received first place rating, and he was also the champion ram. The Dorset Yearling ewe and Owen Torrance will have one in that class. Purebred Yearling ewe trophy today is donated by Bushnell Banking Center, branch of Raritan State Bank.
Ken, our U class here, I'm going to lead off with the young man's U. I think that when I get my hands on her, I appreciate her more for width and depth and capacity when we talk about wider, deeper through that loin, carrying on through that hind saddle and twist and a lower leg. It's also a female. When you look at them and you examine the wool on them and so forth, there's not a lot of difference between the two. They're both excellent as far as their crimping and their curl and their ability to have a nice fleece when you go ahead and shear them out and definitely sell it on the rail or sell it to the buyer. I just like this ewe as far as her capaciousness and the way she gets out and moves around the ring compared to the second ewe. Second ewe, I really appreciate her width and depth and extension too. She's just a little more stiffer and tighter on her hind feet and legs for me when we get her out and move her around the ring. But I think that we got two really nice females in this class. Let's put our hands together for these two young individuals.
In this class, first place went to Reed Carson and second place to Reed Carson. In class 203, our Dorset Yearling ewe, Owen Torrance.
Single entry in this class is certainly could stand some heat and some competition. I really like the length and extension in this female. She's really long-sided. She shows that length when you get your hands on her as well as far as length of loin, length and extension through that hip and down to the ground. How she's tall and elevated through that front end and really sleek front end when we talk about structural soundness and the ability to go ahead and be a nice female when you talk about frame and size and capaciousness. Just a really nice female that's got a lot of future growth and outcome ahead of her.
Our next class, Lauren Carson. Don't forget to go up and use our concession stands, our Squeeze to Please with Julie Hood. Nice single entry as well here.
could stand some competition. I really like the wool quality on this female when we look at it, when we talk about the crimp and the curl and the cleanliness of the wool and the ability to shear out a natural hide. Is something that I really appreciate. I appreciate the width and depth and capaciousness to this female as well. She's wide, she's deep, she's low center of body. When we talk about center portion, she's wide, she's deep through her hip. Just a really nice female for this young lady.
Lauren received first place. Our next class, Suffolk Yearling U, Owen Torrance. After this class, we'll have our yearling youths come back in, our first place for our champion.
Nice Suffolk U. When we talk about her profile, she's really nice. And when we talk about her phenotypic profile, she's long, she's smooth, she's even in her stride. When she gets out and moves around the ring, she ties into a nicer front end. Really nice through those front shoulders and blends through that top and rack and straight back to the top. If I could change anything on the female, maybe like see her a little stronger on those rear hocks. She wants to move in a little bit when she gets out and moves around the ring, but maybe on a longer stride, she would go ahead and correct that a little bit. Nice female.
Owen received first place. Now we are having all of our first place youths back, yearling youths back in. Reed Carson out of class 202. Owen Torrance out of class 203. Lauren Carson out of class 204. And Owen Torrance out of class 205. Again, our trophy today for the Purebred Yearling U is donated by Bushnell Banking Center branch of Raritan State Bank.
Okay, for our champion purebred yearling ewe, of the yearling ewes we've got here, I really like the type and conformation of them, how they blend in smooth over their tops and carry some width and dimension of muscle. We move from the top to the lower center portion of their body and carry in through that hind saddle and lower quarter. I guess the female that just ties everything together for me a little better is going to be the Dorset, so she'll be your champion in this division.
George Grandma.
Our next class will be a Dorset Fall Ewe Lamb with Owen Torrance. And our champion yearling ewe was a Dorset, went to Owen Torrance, and reserved to Lauren Carson. We'll have 2 classes here, and then we'll pick our champion ewe lamb. The purebred ewe lamb trophy today is donated by Corson Suffolk.
Nice single entry in this class. We've got a Dorset Fall ewe lamb that ties everything together into a nice package. She's really long, she's level, she moves out around the ring fairly well. If anything, maybe like to see her get out and walk a little quicker off those hind feet and legs. Not that there's a structural problem, just like maybe pick up the pace a little bit with her. But I like the way she ties in through that front end and moves through the shoulder to the hip in a fairly conformation package for me.
Owen received a first place rating. In class 207, our Dorset ewe lambs, Owen Torrance will have 2 entries.
two in a class. The first ewe lamb's not wanting to cooperate here when we set her up on the side profile, but when you get your hands on her, she's a female that has more width and depth and natural muscling to me. When we talk about through the loin and through that hind saddle and lower leg, she's a female that moves around the ring fairly well, but she just wanted to hump up here towards the end. But a really nice female that's youth and juvenile in her condition and her structural soundness for me. Second place ewe lambs are really long, tall ewe lamb, really tall and jacked up through that front end and through her lower body and pinnage. Just a female I need to see more natural width and dimension on. She was a little more washed out through her rack and through her hind saddle for me.
Owen Torrance received the first and the second place ratings. Now we are ready for our champion ewe lamb. Owen Torrance will have 2 in the class. We'll have 1 out of the 206 class and 1 out of the 207.
Okay, with our 2 females out here for champion ewe lamb, I really like the width and definition of muscle in both the ewe lambs, where they're at as far as their phenotypic growth curve and their length and side, and their ability to tie into a nicer front end and shoulder and structurally soundness. I think for me, I'm just going to go ahead and use the fall because I think there's just more of her. When we talk about where she's at in her growth curve, she's wide, she's deep, she's expressive, she's a bigger bone female for me and just a little bit more to her today, obviously, and that's not just because she's a fall. When we talk about growth curve and so forth, there's just a female that excels to where she is as far as her growth curve and where she's at today. Okay, for our champion purebred ewe, we've got 2 really nice females out here that are long and expressive when we talk about their muscle patterns. They're really nice through their front ends. They tie into a really nice shoulder and they're structurally sound and correct, moving around the ring and getting out and doing what they need to be doing. They're long loined, they're long hipped. They carry that extension through them from the rack all the way to the hip, and I really like that in these sheep. And for me, it's a close decision between the 2 because I don't want to say they're peas in a pod. But I think that when we get the fall up to a yearling status, she's going to resemble her fairly well. Even though today I'm going to go ahead and use your yearling. I really like this female.
Received the champion purebred ewe with his yearling, and now we're picking our reserve.
in picking your reserve, I really appreciate both these females. I like the structural soundness and the functionability of them. I like where they're at as far as their muscle mass and their growth curve and the things that they bring to the table. I guess when we compare some things, we've got kind of a wool breed versus they're both wool breeds. Obviously, all sheep are wool breeds, but some are more price capacious than others when we talk about the difference in the wools and so forth. For me, the female that probably moved around the ring a little better and was a little better off all four corners was the black ewe here, the natural. She's going to be your reserve. For this class of ewe-lambs, I'm going to use the young lady's ewe-lamb. I think that when I definitely get my hands on her, she's a firmer, harder, fresher feeling lamb when we talk about her conditioning and ability to be where she needs to be as far as going to the rail or whatever when we talk about commercial or market. I like the extension in the female. I like how she's elevated through her front end and carries that width and depth and definition of muscle clear through to the tail and dock and through the lower portion of her leg. Maybe if anything, we like to get that loin down a little bit when she's moving around the ring. But that's she outweighs in muscle and condition for me compared to the second place ewe-lamb. Second place ewe-lamb, I really like the dimension in her, how structurally sound she is. She's a female that I really like the leg work, the bone work. She ties into the bone and the muscle and different things, just a little softer and a little less fresh to the feel for me, especially when we get through that loin and through the lower portion of the loin. Really nice females.
Natalie received the first and second place in the class. Our next class is 210, commercial ewe-lambs weighing 103 to 106 pounds. Janelle Heaton has 2 entries in the class.
Class of ewe-lambs, I'm going to lead off with the blue or the steel-colored ewe-lamb. I really like the width and definition of muscling, especially when I get my hands on her loin. And we talk about length and depth of loin. We talk about width and depth as we carry into that hind saddle. And then we carry about a total package, and we talk about from the start of the loin all the way to the tail or to the hip. Just a nicer, fresher female as far as tying everything to a higher degree for me. Structural soundness between the two females is not that much difference. They're wide, they're deep, they're capacious, they've got good bone work, they walk around the ring fairly well, tie into a nice overall conformation. Second place ewe-lamb, the ewe-lamb is a little softer, a little more mellow for me as we talk about finish and fat conditioning. That's basically what separates the two females from me. But really nice two females for the young lady to lead off in this class with. Good job. Janelle Heaton received the first and second placing.
Our next class is 211, commercial ewe lambs weighing 113 to 119. Janelle Heaton has two entries in this class. And then we will pick the commercial ewe lamb champion.
Little tougher class in sorting these two. We've got a little bit of difference in handling qualities and in length and dimension when we talk about their wholesale cuts, and ability to raise the right things we need when we talk about carcass into the rail with not these females, but with babies and offspring and so forth to keep the sheep industry competitive. I'm going to go ahead and lead the class off with the lamb the young lady's showing. I really like the length of side, the extension we talk about through her front end. She blends into that shoulder a little better when we talk about her smoothness and ability to be a more structurally sound female. She moves around the ring fairly well, gets up and travels. If anything, maybe you'd like to see a little less condition on her. She's a little more mellow than the second place ewe lamb. But again, those are just handling qualities. Those are just things. I didn't say she was fat, because she's not. Just when we talk about differences between the two. And if anything, maybe get a little more length of hip in her. Love the length of loin, length of rack, and shoulder, maybe a little more hip to compare to the second place female. Second place female is really wide, really deep, even based. If anything, the female needs to be a little more pressure through that shoulder, blend in a little bit from that shoulder into that rack. That's where I decided the difference between the two. But she's definitely a female that's wider and deeper in that loin and has more capaciousness through that leg and through that hind saddle. Good job.
We need all of our first place commercial ewe lambs. We're now going to pick our champion commercial ewe lamb. The trophy is donated by Purdom Gray, Ingledew Back. So out of class 208, we need Mason Moore. 209, we need Natalie Moore. Class 210, Janelle Heaton. Class 211, Janelle Heaton.
Again, 4 nice females out here in this drive to pick your champion ewe lamb and reserve champion ewe lamb. I really like the ability of these females to have the width and depth and definition of muscle where we need the muscle on the females. They're structurally sound. They get out and travel around the ring. They're fluid in their movement. They tie into a nice shoulder and pinnings when we talk about from the front to the rear and so forth. I guess it kind of boils down to a couple females for me. And I'm going to go ahead and use this hand-looking female right here for your champion. Okay, for reserve right here, I'm going to go ahead and use the blue ewe lamb. I think she follows her as far as type and conformation more closely for me. And again, I like the female that moved into second. I like all the females. I don't want to take anything away from them because they're all good in their type and their conformation and different things. So congratulations to all of you that showed females in the commercial division and the purebred division before this.
We are ready for class 212, our commercial yearling ewes, 144 pounds to 149. Janelle Heaton has 2 entries in the class. Your champion commercial ewe lamb went to Janelle Heaton, and the reserve also to Janelle Heaton. 213 commercial yearling ewes weighing 153 to 155 pounds. Janelle Heaton will have 2 entries in that class.
In this yearling ewe class, I'm going to start off with the female right here in front of me. I really like the length and extension to this female. She's longer bodied. She's a little more smoother when we talk about width and depth, and especially through that loin and through that hind saddle. A female, for me, that just has more ability to go ahead and get a little bigger package to them for me. Second place female, I really like her length of side and her capaciousness. For me, maybe she loses out as far as length of loin, length of hind saddle compared to the top female in the class. But again, 2 really nice females for the young lady.
In our last class, Janelle Heaton received a first and second placing. This is class 213, our commercial yearling ewe weighing 153 to 155 pounds. After this class, we will bring our first place yearling ewe back for champion yearling ewe. The yearling ewe trophy is donated by Smith and Smith Enterprises Incorporated and S&S Shortstop.
Okay, females in this class, I'm going to go ahead and use the yearling ewe that I think gives up a little bit of size and scale, maybe a little weight per day of age, but a female to me that blends everything into a higher degree. She's smooth in her pattern. She's overall carries in through a nicer front end. She's more elevated through the front end. She blends evenly over her top from her neck to her tail and through her dock area. When the difference for me really boils down to is with the handling quality. She's smoother in her handle, she's fresher in her handle, and she's got more dimension through her handle. When we move into the second place female, I really like the width and depth and definition of this female. I like how capacious she is. If anything, again, smooth up the handling qualities on the female and maybe give another rib to her. And I know when judges always say that, I always wondered how you're going to give another rib to them, but it's an observatory thing. If she was a little longer bodied and a little smoother to the fresher feel, she'd go ahead and beat the second place yearling. Nice job.
Janelle Heaton received the first and second place in the class. We are now ready for our first place ewes to come back for our champion yearling ewe. Janelle will have one out of class 212, and out of 213, Janelle will have another entry. The commercial yearling new trophy is donated by Smith and Smith Enterprise Incorporated and S&S Shortstop.
For your champion yearling U, I'm going to go ahead and use the U that the young man is showing. She's a fresher feeling female for me. She's wide, she's deep, she's capacious. Just got better handling qualities for me today to go ahead and make her the champion in this division. I'm going to bring out the second one to her, please. For your reserve, I'm going to use the second place female, the young lady just brought back out here. Her capaciousness, her ability to be wide and deep and very expressive in that muscle, especially through that lower 2/3. Really nice job.
Put that back, Sissy. It's on the shoulder. Jensen, yours is on the stroller.
We are now ready to pick our grand champion 4-HU. Trophy donor is in memory of Clifton Torrance.
Okay, let's put our hands together for the individuals that have showed the sheep thus far this morning, whether they won their class or their division or whatever. I think that we need to compliment everybody that stays involved in agriculture, and especially the youth in our country and in our state staying in agriculture, no matter what we're faced with and no matter where we go from here. If we keep young individuals involved, there's going to be a bright future for the rest of us. If we don't, I don't know what will happen. So I don't have the answer to the second part of that equation. But let's just keep them involved, and let's keep them striving forward, and let's keep them busy, so to speak, so that they don't get a reason to escape from agriculture. When we talk about your champion out here, I'm going to pick a Grand Reserve. In the female division, when we talk about the commercials, the Yearling ewe is a really nice, even balanced ewe. She's smooth in her stride. She's smooth in her muscle mass and her overall conformation and her body condition for where she's at in her growth curve. Our ewe lamb is another really smooth female. She's wide, she's deep, she's expressive, and when I talked about earlier, maybe add another rib to her to get that hip further back. She's long bodied, but she's a little shorter hip from me. And when we talk about length of side and so forth, she's right there. Our Dorset ewe in the purebred, really nice female, wide, deep, expressive when we talk about a Dorset, but she's also that female that's elevated and extended through that structural soundness. She's wide over her top, and I put my hands on that loin and get through that wool. She's really elevated through that front end and jacked up. I'm going to go ahead and use her for your champion. And when we go for our reserve champion and bringing in the Yearling ewe for the purebred division, I really like her. I like the width and definition too. I like her wool qualities, her crimping, her curling, and so forth. But I'm going to go back to this into the Yearling commercial for your reserve champion.
Your grand champion 4-HU went to Owen Torrance and reserved to Janelle Heaton. We're now ready to clear out the ewes, and we're going to be ready to have the wethers come in. Compare Financial would like to invite 4-Hers and their families out to the fair Wednesday evening from 5 to 7 for a complimentary supper before the premium auction. The meal will be sponsored by Compere and provided by Julie Hood, owner of Squeeze to Please. Julie will have the meal ready. Just let her know you are part of the 4-H family and she will serve you up.
Okay, class 1 of our market lambs. I'm going to lead the class off with the blue steel-colored lamb here. When you talk about evenness of finish and the amount of condition he's got on him for where he's at as far as his phenotypic growth curve, to me that's a deciding factor. Between the two, he's wide, he's deep, he's expressive. Between the two, he's probably a little deeper through that inner leg and through that rear stifle. Second place lamb's a lamb that's a little taller at the shoulder, a little taller when we talk about from the ground up, a little more longer sided, maybe more elevated. But a lamb that just gives up a little more as far as freshness of feel through the width and dimension through the loin and through the inner leg.
Results for class 214. First place rating was Janelle Heaton, and second place was Janelle Heaton. We are now ready for class 214. We have one entry, Natalie Moore, weather weighing 109 pounds. After this class, we will pick our champion lightweight weather. Our trophy is donated by Dare Wester Grain Services Incorporated.
Single entry in this class, but a lamb that can stand some competition. This lamb's really wide, he's deep, he's expressive when we talk about length of loin, with an expression through his loin, through his lower leg. He's a lamb that's expressive when we talk about from the center portion of his body to the ground. He's got the width and depth and definition. He's easy and firm in his and fresh in his feel. Just a really nice lamb for this young lady.
First place in this class went to Natalie Moore. We are now ready for our first place entry. Janelle Heaton will have one in here, and Natalie for our champion lightweight weather.
Okay, the two lambs out here for your champion lightweight are lambs that are wide and deep and expressive when we talk about through over their loin, carrying that width and definition through their leg and their inner sub portion of their stifle and the lower portion of their leg. There's just one lamb that's a little firmer and fresher to the feel. That's going to be the young lady straight in front of me. You're going to be the champion in this division, and you'll be reserve in this division. Good job.
Our champion lightweight weather is Natalie in the junior show, and in 4-H, Janelle Heaton would be the champion and reserve in junior show. In In the ring, we have Class 216, weathers weighing 114 pounds, 115, Janelle Heaton and Alana Knight.
Everyone's so nice.
Okay, two lambs in this class. I'm gonna go ahead and lead off with the lamb right here in front of me. He's a wider, deeper, more expressively muscled lamb. He's a lamb that handles with definitely a wider, deeper loin. He's got a little more condition on him, but he's also up there as far as a little more weight. He's a lamb that maybe if I could change him at all, I'd like to maybe get him off the ground a little more, add a little more elevation through that front end, maybe a little more length of side and length of saddle to him. But a really nice lamb to lead the class off with. The young lady's lamb here in second place is a lamb that has the frame, has the profile that our first place lamb does not. But this lamb does not have the loin and the leg and the expressiveness of muscle as the first place lamb. So that's placing between the two again. Good job, both of you.
Results for this class: first place, Janelle Heaton; second place, Alana Knight. Class 217, weathers weighing 117 pounds. We have one entry, Mason Moore.
Nice lamb in this class, certainly could stand some competition. He's really long bodied, he's long spined. He's a lamb that's got the width and definition of muscle from his shoulder all the way through his hind saddle and through his lower leg and twist. A lamb that's good in his overall body condition for where he's at in his growth curve. Just a really nice lamb. Again, young man, good job.
Now ready for class 218, weather weighing 123 pounds with a single entry, Janelle Heaton. After this class, we will be ready to pick our champion middleweight weather. Our trophy is donated by Fairview Sale Barn.
Okay, a single entry lamb in this class that wins the class easy. He's wide, he's deep, he's expressive. He's a lamb that I really like the width and definition of muscle when you talk about through that loin and carrying it back into that hind saddle and through his stifle and twist. He's a lamb that stands on a good circumference of bone. If anything, maybe like to tie his hind feet a little better when he moves around the ring. He tends to do a little clippity clop instead of put him down and fully reach with him, but a nice lamb.
Hi.
I'm Brent Titus.
Shelby Farms.
Hi, I'm with the Throwdown.
Yeah.
And this is Torrance. cattle show on Thursday, but I just left.
Janelle Heaton received first place rating in Class 218. We are now ready to pick our champion middleweight leather.
But if I just text you,
Out of Class 216, Janelle Heaton. Out of Class 217, Mason Moore.
so much.
And out of Class 218, Janelle Heaton.
It absolutely is. I know there was a couple last year that texted me on there.
Oh, you know Rhonda?
I'm from Knox County.
Well, do you just want to text me Rhonda? Yeah. She can get a gift. Okay, that is so awesome. Thank you.
I'm the educator. I've got 4 counties.
Okay, for our champion middleweight, I'm going to use the young man's lamb in the middle. I think that there's more extension to this lamb. There's more style. There's more profile to this lamb. He's wide, he's deep, he's expressive as well. Obviously, they've got to have those things first. But when they've got the profile and the extension and the niceness of balance and things with to go with it, they go ahead and move to the top for me.
Cool. Well, if we need anyone, we'll sure reach out. I know it's not your job, but.
Okay, so our reserve in the junior show is going to be the heavier lamb right here, the young ladies. He'll be also your 4-H champion, and then right here will be your 4-H reserve champion in this weight bracket.
Thank you very much. Like I said, just take a picture, text them to Rhonda. And she'll send them to our group, and Lindsay will get the shirt ordered.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Our champion middleweight leather in the junior show was Mason Moore. Reserve junior show went to Janelle Heaton. And our champion 4-H and reserve went to Janelle Heaton. In the ring now, we have Class 219, leathers weighing 133 to 137 pounds, Riley Creasy and Drew Creasy.
First and second in this class, nice weathers. Very nice weathers, the two of them. I'm going to go ahead and lead off with the younger sister, I assume's weather. What a long body booger. I mean, seriously, to have a lamb that's that long-sided, that long-bodied, to tie into having that type of loin and rack and shoulder into him and carrying in through having a lower leg and a stifle and twist, that's what beats the second place weather. Not to take a lot away from him, but this guy's got the length of side and the extension to me to go ahead and put him on the other end of the class, onwards in first in the class. Second place weather, really nice weather as well. I love the width and depth, the definition of muscle we talk about from his dock in through his inner leg and through his stifle and twist. He's a lamb that handles very well for me. When we talk about through the loin and through the lower portion of the body, center portion of the body, ties into a very nice shoulder on the lamb. But again, making a decision between the two. Very nice lambs, longer body, a little heavier on the muscle, but very nice between the two. Good job, young ladies.
Results for 219, first rating, Drew Creasy, second place rating, Riley Creasy. We're now ready for class 220, weather weighing 146 pounds with a single entry with Carter Hogue. After this class, we will pick our champion heavyweight weather. Our heavyweight 4-H weather trophy is donated by Smith & Smith Enterprise Incorporated and S&S Shortstop.
Again, a single entry and definitely could use some competition. What a nice lamb, young man. Beautiful lamb. I really appreciate the width and depth and definition of muscle in this lamb. He starts from the ground up. He starts with his bone work. He's a bigger bone lamb. Usually when we talk about animals and we evaluate them and so forth, I've always told kids, especially starting in 4-H and FFA, if you want to find a bigger, heavier muscle lamb, try to start with the bone if you don't understand muscle. They've got the bone work. Usually they have the muscle work with it. Not always. There's those that defy gravity and defy the brain, so to speak, but you got to start at the ground up. Wide, deep, capacious, very even muscle lamb. He's wide over his top. He carries that width from his shoulder all the way through his dock. Where he is powerful for me, not only the muscle mass and the bone mass is his lower pinnage. When we talk about through his leg, the width and depth, when we talk about through the lower pins, he's wide, he's deep, he's got a big stifle, big jump muscle in him. He's wide and deep and expressive through his leg. Very nice lamb, young man.
First place rating in the class, that results for the class is Carter Hogue. We are now ready for our champion heavyweight weather. We need Drew Creasy out of class 219 and Carter. After this, we will pick our grand champion weather overall.
Okay, if you're a champion heavyweight weather, we've got two really nice entries in here. We've got two lambs that that won their class. They're very respective in their overall type and conformation, where they're at as far as their physiological growth curve, where they're at as far as weight per day of age and so forth. Again, I hope that a lot of the county fairs going on right now, and especially over the next 3 weeks as they stir up and so forth, can get the quality of lambs and sheep that I've had from the female show to the male show here so far today. When we're all done, we'll talk a little bit about that and so forth. But I think when we compare the two lambs out here, we've got two lambs that are heavy muscled. They're wide, they're deep, they're expressive. That's what we want in a market lamb. That's what we want to see when we talk about overall conformation and type and different things. We want to find a lamb that does not embarrass us when they go to the rail. In other words, they've got the right amount of condition for where they're at as far as their muscle mass and so forth. And I think today the lamb that does that for me is going to be the young man's lamb right here in front of me. And he didn't have a second place, so the young lady here will be your reserve in this division. Excellent job. Two very nice market lambs.
Our champion heavyweight wether goes to Carter Hogue and reserve to Drew Creasy. We are now ready for a grand champion wether overall. The lightweight wether is Natalie Moore, with her in the class, with Janelle Heaton on standby with her reserve. Out of the middleweight, we have Mason Moore with Janelle Heaton on reserve, standby. And our heavy is Carter Hogue with reserve on standby, Drew Creasy.
As we do our champion market lamb, let's put our hands together for the young individuals that are out here right now and the ones that also had lambs in the class. I think we've had a nice market lamb show. Obviously numbers. Everybody'd like to see more numbers at a fair, okay? It's not just here, trust me. The numbers are down, the so forth. We'll get back there as far as entries and so forth, but we've also got to keep kids involved. And that can happen by word of mouth, whether you're a breeder, whether you're a showman, or whatever else. Just do a good job of promoting what you're showing and tell other kids how great it is, how good of experience it is. I wish you could tell them you're a multi-millionaire from this, but that doesn't always happen as well. But try to get other kids in your 4-H clubs and FA chapters involved, and the numbers will slowly work their way back up there. Okay, between the three divisions, in our lightweight division, we've got a lamb that I really like, the length of side in the lamb, the width and definition of muscle to the lamb. If anything, maybe like to see him a little more smoother when we talk about from the front end to the rear end and moving from the front back. But a very nice lamb to represent his weight classification out here. When we come into the middleweight, again, the lamb that's made very similar to the lightweight. He's tall up front, he's long, he's extended. Maybe needs to have a little more width and definition over his whole type and conformation, but again, he's a lighter weight lamb, even though he's in the middle division. Then we move into the heavy lamb down here, the lamb that's weighing 146, I think, something like that. A lamb that is there. Sometimes you get a lamb this big and you think he's sloppy and he's heavy in his condition. This lamb is not that. This lamb is hard, this lamb is conditioned well, this lamb is wide, he's deep, he's expressive, he's got all the things we need to see from the ground up. He's big boned, he's got the fluff that everybody wants right now. Fluff, I could give or go with it. It's a pain in the butt to keep it clean, isn't it? That's the downfall of it. But it does make a lamb look really cool, especially him when he is big bone. And then we add to that and make him look even bigger bone. Then we work our reserves and so forth. I talked about them in class. I'm going to go out here and shake the hand of the champion, and then we'll pick your reserve. And in picking our reserve, we've got a lamb that fits right behind him as far as type, conformation, muscling, and so forth. Young lady, you're going to be the reserve champion today. Good job. Good job to all of them.
Our grand champion wether went to Carter Hope with reserve to Drew Creasy. That trophy was donated by United Community Bank. We're ready to do our pair of wethers. In the first class, 221, light pair of wethers. Janelle Heaton has an entry. She's the only one entered in the class. When we get done with our pairs, then we're going to go to our showmanship. We're going to start with the oldest one first, which would be the advanced, then the senior, intermediate, the junior, and after the junior showmanship, we'll go to the master showmanship.
Our lightweight pair here are two lambs that when they came out in class, that they looked fairly similar in type and conformation. If anything, maybe the whiter lamb would like to see a little more width and definition through his inner leg when we put him to the ground down. But two really nice lambs that fit together as a nice pair for the young lady. Our pair here are two lambs that fit together fairly well when we talk about their muscle mass, their width and depth and definition of muscle from the loin to the hind saddle and to the ground. Maybe one lamb's a little taller, a little more elevated at the point of the shoulder, but two really nice lambs that fit together as a nice pair for the young lady.
Janelle Heaton received a first place rating in the heavyweight pair. We're now ready to bring both sets back for a champion pair of wethers. Janelle will have 2 entries in there. The Champion Pair of Weathers trophy is donated by Good Hope Gardens.
Okay, for our pairs out here between the two classes, I'm going to go ahead and use the lighter pairs as your champion, strictly because they fit together more phenotypically. In other words, visually for me, about the right size, the shape, the conformation, muscle mass, etc. And then this pair right here will be your reserve. So good job, young lady.
Our champion pair of weathers go to Janelle Heaton, and the reserve champion goes to Janelle Heaton. We are now ready to start our showmanship, and we get everything cleared out. We're going to start with the advanced. In the advanced showmanship, we have Owen Torrance signed up.
Okay, single entry in the advanced showmanship, but this young man's done a good job, and he was out here in other classes. That doesn't necessarily matter for here unless he really made a big mistake in those earlier classes, and he didn't. Does an excellent job. He knows his sheep. He knows how they look the best, when to set him up the best, to get him around the ring. He's calm, cool, and collective, which I've always said a person's got to be. As a good showman, you've got to look like you know what you're doing. You've got to have some presence in the ring. You don't have to be a beauty queen in the ring, but you got to have some presence. In other words, you got to look like you know what you're doing. That's the calm, cool, and collected part, and so forth. And he's always done that. Excellent job. Could stand some competition, but you get awards by being the only one, dude.
Congratulations.
Okay, I'm picking the winner between siblings, because I had three of them. There was four of us kids growing up, so we were spread out over 6 years. So a lot of times we ended up in the same showmanship contest and so forth, and that was kind of our deal. At the end was if one of them along the way got a champion and we didn't, it was game on in the showmanship, because that was the same thing for us. I appreciate that both of you came out here for showmanship. Both of you do a good job with your lambs. The young lady, the younger of the two, I assume, correct? Her lamb stopped and popped a little quicker than what the older sister's lamb did. A little more fidgety. Doing it right now, but at times, and she knows this. I mean, when you've showed livestock and so forth, you know when they're cooperating and when they're not. But today it's going to be the younger of the two. Good job, both of you.
Congratulations, Drew Creasy. You are going to receive the Senior Sheep Showmanship Director's Chair donated by Hy-Vee Foods and Meat Department. Next, we are going to have our Intermediate Showmanship, and we have Janelle Heaton signed up.
In this division, one person that could stand some heat, some competition. She does an excellent job setting her lambs up, knowing her lambs, knowing and understanding what she thinks that are her qualities, top qualities of her lamb, what she'd like to change about them and so forth. And we talked for a few minutes, doing an excellent job. Congratulations to this young lady as well.
Congratulations, Janelle. You received the Intermediate Showmanship donated by Kelso Brothers. All right, next we are going to be doing things just a little bit different. If you can remember the last time we were together back in 2019, We had a master showmanship event, a Tuesday night of the fair this year, just to be, just kind of go with the flow. We are doing our sheep master showmanship here as the end of our sheep show. Our 4-H members are going to compete at the end of the sheep show, swine show, and beef show for a spot to represent McDonough County at the Master Showmanship Contest at the State Fair. The State Fair Master Showmanship Contest will be Friday, August 13th, starting at 7:30 p.m. So we are going to give our next contestant just a moment, and we will go ahead and have them compete and see who's going to be the sheep showmanship, master showmanship winner.
Okay, and your selection for the Master Showman. I'm just going to talk about the two individuals out here. I'm not going to tell you who wins the sheep division. I think as you get through the species, you should say that till the very end, okay? That way you keep working and as you go through the week, you win the divisions and so forth. I think we've got two excellent showmen out here in this division. Both of them know things about sheep. They can talk about sheep. They know things about wholesale cuts and retail cuts and some different things. They know what is good about their lambs, what they'd like to change about their lambs and so forth. And I'm not saying the knowledge base is always the most important thing, but I think at this level, when we talk about going on and representing your county and getting into a master showmanship type of deal, you got to be an excellent showman, then you got to know something about what you're showing. And I've always said that. I can remember going back to days, graduated in Illinois, by Biggsville, Illinois, which was called Union High School at the time. Then moved to the University of Missouri. My family owned a farm in Missouri as well, so we moved everything after my senior year to there, and I was able to finish out my FFA showing in the state of Missouri. And they had a showmanship contest in the cattle deal that was a little different than what Illinois does. As you go through your classes in the day, they give out 20 buttons in 4-H and 20 buttons in FFA. If you get a button, you come back at the end of the day, and they can narrow it down to 10. And then the next day on a Sunday morning, after kids are supposed to be fresh and hopefully not partied the night before because they did well or whatever, you fit your calf. You get 20 minutes to fit your calf, and then you get 30 minutes in the ring showing your calf. It was based on your calf, your fitting, and your knowledge. So I go back to that, and I was one of those kids as a freshman in college, messed up and had the best showing steer I've ever had. And I answered a question wrong, and I got second in the showmanship contest, and I still remember that today because it was a dumb Freudian slip on my part. When he asked how much back fat I had on my steer, I said 2 inches. Why you know what? I said 2 inches, I don't know, but it came out. And then as he walked away, I said, I mean 2/10, sir. He's like, too late, you already gave me your answer. So I got second. So know something about your animals. Don't have that Freudian slip like I did, because you won't forget it if you do. Anyway, two young individuals do a great job. Let's put our hands together for them. And hopefully at the end of the week, when you have the decision between these two, that whoever represents your county does a fine job at the state level, and I think these two will. Good job. Thank you for having me here for the sheep show today. I'm assuming that's it. Okay, I won't get on my podium or soapbox or anything else, but again, thank you. I appreciated it. Had a good day. You've got some quality livestock. We just, again, like running through things with everybody else. We just all need better numbers, okay?